Hey everyone, it's Myriam from a few days after this was filmed. I'll be popping in every so often to talk a little bit about what's going on screen. So yeah, let's hang out. So once I was happy with the overall composition in my thumbnails, I decided to refine a few of the poses I was hesitating between in my sketchbook. Thumbnails are great for composition and rough ideas, but when it comes to refining the pose and the details, I needed to use my sketchbook to make bigger, more in-depth sketches. At this point, there are details I'm not entirely sure about, there are different poses I'm hesitating between, that sort of thing. So doing different iterations of the concept on a bigger scale will help me see exactly what works and what doesn't, or what I like and what I don't. The main element I was uncertain about at this particular stage was the position of the hands and whether I wanted both hands to be visible or just one. So that's pretty much what I focused on when I did those sketches in my sketchbook. I knew that I wanted the character to have that head up pose, but I didn't know where I wanted the hands to go. So I sketched out roughly the same pose 4 times, I think, and did a few different hand poses. Once I was done, I still couldn't make a choice, so I decided to put scans of each of those drawings onto Patreon and have my patrons help me out with a poll. I left the poll open for my patrons for not very long. I needed to get going with the painting, so I left it on for 2 or 3 days maybe, I don't quite remember. But while I got the results back, I decided to start work on another piece based on this sketch here. If you're interested in knowing how this piece turned out, I'll be making a big video about it, so you can always look forward to that very soon. So once the results of the poll were back, my patrons voted on this pose here. So I then started working on a bigger sketch that was intended to be my final sketch at this point, with this pose as a base. Once I had gone about as far as I felt I could go with that bigger sketch, I realised that something just wasn't working, something just didn't feel right yet, and I didn't feel ready to start painting and start transferring the sketch. So I decided to attempt something different. I took a picture of the sketch with my iPad, and I decided to try experimenting with the sketch digitally. I'm not super comfortable with drawing digitally yet. I don't have that much experience with painting either with Photoshop or Procreate. I am slowly trying to build my knowledge of the medium. I think it's a skill that is very, very useful, particularly in my line of work, and particularly because I would quite like to start doing more client work in the future, and working digitally is an invaluable skill set when it comes to doing a lot of commissions and a lot of design and illustration projects. I spent quite a few days working on my iPad. I ended up really enjoying the process. I would spend hours at a time experimenting with the sketch and trying a lot of different things. I even tried something akin to photo bashing, where you take a photograph or one of your reference images and you integrate it into the drawing. So instead of sketching from that reference picture, I literally just took the reference picture and collated it into my digital sketch so that I didn't have to spend the time drawing it. And during that time, I pretty much ended up completely reinventing the piece. Finally, I settled on something I was happy with. And in the end, I decided that this was my final sketch. Once I got to this point, it was all pretty straightforward from there. I printed out the sketch, transferred it with carbon paper onto my final painting surface, which is a watercolor board, and then it was time to paint.
Making much sense. He spoke soft words of reassurance, brought me out into the sick, pale blue of dawn. Thank you.
So it's the next day again. I didn't actually end up painting very much yesterday. I was sort of petrified with fear at the idea of starting to paint this piece because I love the concept and it's quite big. Both are things that make it quite intimidating to start painting. I'm worried I'm gonna ruin it. I'm worried I'm gonna, I don't know. I'm sure you relate. Most of us have those kinds of feelings when we care about something. I think I kind of spent a lot of the day working on my Patreon stickers for June. They're all printed out now. I'm gonna need to cut them all by hand. So usually I like to do that at the end of the day to unwind from like a long painting day or a long admin day. And I think I'll probably do that today after I've done more progress in this piece. I suspect that this piece will take me about a week and a half. We'll see. I have to get started to figure that out. So let's do that. It's really long. Oh god. So I think I'm gonna stop for today. I managed to get the birds probably very close to done. I might tinker with them as I keep painting, but for now I'm very happy with how they look. I'm quite happy with the progress this week. I actually didn't think I was going to get this far with the painting. It's Friday evening right now. It's about 5:30, 5:40 in the evening, and it's getting a bit dark outside, and I'm also quite knackered. I've spent the past 3 or 4 days just painting. I need to do something a little bit different for a bit. Not only will it help me just relax, but also it'll help me step away from the painting, and I think that's really important at a certain stage. There's a point in a painting where it's just good to take a step back and stop looking at it for a while and then come back to it fresh a few days later. So I'm going to take the weekend, not going to paint over the weekend, I'll do other things, but I'll come back to the painting on Monday and see how I feel about it, see what I want to change, see what's working, what's not. Fresh eyes will definitely help me take it that one step further. I still need to paint the character, and I'm sure I'm going to be tinkering with all the other elements in it also, but I'm nearly done. Like, I'm surprised at how fast I've managed to paint it, and I think part of that is due to the fact that I did some sketches in Procreate, so I had a clear direction of where I wanted to go with the piece in the first place, which meant that I wasn't kind of hesitating too much during the painting process, and I wasn't making big decisions while I was painting, because I had taken all those decisions before I even started working on the final painting, if that makes sense. The decision making hasn't happened while I was painting. I could just focus entirely on the painting process itself, and I think that was really interesting. It was that different to how I usually work, and really streamlined the process a lot more than I thought it would. Tonight I'm probably just going to work on my iPad. I want to finish the GIF I'm creating for my YouTube video outro. I'm probably going to try and bake some bread. It's such a lockdown cliche. Yeah, see you soon. And I spent the morning working on Patreon stuff, and I also did a little bit more work on the process PDF for this guy here. I'm doing a detailed step-by-step for my $5 patrons, so every 2 months they get a PDF of a painting. This afternoon is going to be dedicated to continuing this guy here. I'm probably going to try and start painting the character. It's rather daunting, I'm quite scared, and I'm most definitely using talking to the camera as a way to procrastinate and not start on it, but it needs to be done, so I'm gonna do that right now. It's finished, guys. It's finished. I'm so excited. I'm so happy with this piece, guys. I've never had a piece go so smoothly either. It kind of just flowed out of me really naturally, and I'm so happy with it. It's my most ambitious piece ever. I think the biggest piece I've done before this was Phosphines. I really love painting this big, and I want to go bigger. Like, this might not seem big to some people, but to me it's obviously a big step because I don't tend to paint that big usually. And the more I paint larger pieces, the more I want to expand and go even bigger. And so I'm excited to see what I'll do in the future, but this piece might appear a little bit different to what I usually create, just because it's quite bright and sunny and warm, and it's meant to have a lot of light in it, which is not something I have been very comfortable with doing in the past. But one of my objectives with this painting was to push my boundaries, was to get out of my comfort zone, and it worked out better than I could have hoped, really. I'm genuinely so tremendously proud of this painting, and I hope that you guys will like it too. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, what it makes you feel, how you interpret the concept, anything and everything. I just want to hear from you, because sharing a big painting I'm really proud of and means a lot to me with you guys is an important part of this whole process, and so I genuinely love hearing what you have to say about it. So please share with me any and all thoughts you have about it. I want to say a massive thank you to my patrons. I wouldn't be able to spend a few days, even weeks like this on a big piece without their support, and they helped me with a lot of big decisions for the process, which was all incredibly helpful and incredibly lovely, and my heart goes out to them so much. This piece will be the print for June. It is also available as a print on my shop. About a month ago I organised a Draw This in Your Style event in which I invited my followers to recreate one of my paintings in their own style. We chose this painting here, and I had so many amazing entries. I'm gonna be featuring a bunch of them at the end of this video. Please check them out and go give some love to the people who created their versions, because everyone was just incredible. Everyone had their own touch and their own voice, and it was fantastic. I suspect this video is now quite long, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in to my relaunch video. Make sure you tune in next week for another video. I know, that's soon. Not gonna happen very often, I'm telling you. Next week's video is sponsored. I didn't want my main video, my relaunch video, to be sponsored, so I decided to make a separate video to honour the sponsorship contract. In that next video, I'll be turning the concept of this painting into a t-shirt design. So if that's something that you'd be interested in seeing, then please check out next week's video. And I think that's it for me. I hope that you guys are well. Do let me know in the comments how you're doing, how the last few months have been treating you. I know everything has just been... it's just been... I'd love to hear how you guys have been getting on, and to have a bit of news. Yeah, leave me a comment, let me know how you are. And in the meantime, take really good care of yourselves. Thank you again for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye everyone.